Hi guys, so I am back. Remember, I was going to show the Orbeez and their glowing effects throughout everything. Here's my little village we're, kind of building. I will explain a little bit more on everything else. Eventually, as time goes on, I suffer from like complex PTSD, severe anxiety, severe depressions. They're a real struggle. I have come out through living a life of lots of childhood trauma due to, my parents drinking, their own alcoholic choices, or my stepdad's alcoholic choices, my mom's gambling addictions, a lot of it which has affected my own life to this age, and my therapy, plus anything else that I've gone through, losing, I was dating someone when they passed away. I was young and I went through that. It was a tragic way. I went through a lot in my life. So I had to go through that, help take care of my parents. They were going through a separation at the time as well, that was happening, and of what I was going through. And I did a overdose of over 500 pills. I was 15, and I survived. I did. Obviously, that's not your intention. Just feel like you're a burden, or, the pain in life is real hard sometimes. And when you go through trauma or abuse or neglect or abandonment, resentment, all those things, people begin to really have their comments and judgments on who you are as you grow up, as you become a person, and, their own opinions. Yes, I made this in high school, I guess. My last year of high school, it was really hard wood, but I made it. And it took me a while, but I did by my hand. And so anyways, my PTSD goes from a long trial of things and errors. It's not just because I'm a medical mom who had a child that was born with spinal muscular atrophy. I was diagnosed with PTSD before my daughter was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy type 1. So that can tell you something right there. I had a relationship before, didn't work out very well. I was pregnant and was cheated on, and he was young, I was young. I'm not going to say either one of us were ready. And obviously our relationship was not ready either. And we just were two people who had not been ready for kids. We weren't planning on children. And so I had to really turn my life around. My son was my turning point of my life, taking me away from the party life. I get off work, okay guys, are we going out? And hang out. And it was hard to understand what a normal life could be like, right? Until I had my son. I had to make a choice. Do I give up this party life and, smoking and everything? And I did. I gave up even cigarette smoking for 5 years after I had him. So I did, and I was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy type 1, which is, at the time, the #1 genetic killer in infants. No cure. There will never be a cure. You'll never see a cure. There'll be no treatment. Just hold her in your arms, let her die. Yes, there's a way to be proactive for spinal muscular atrophy, but why would you want to do that? Today, 3 years ago, almost 4, no, about 3 years ago, my daughter was able to receive a treatment. That's step 1. Because she was a part of science, medical science. Her knowledge helps other families get training. Like we've had, previous nurses. A lot of them get trained. And they go to other families because they have good quality of training with Anna. And once they get that good quality of training, they ship them off to other families. And then we don't have staff. Happens quite frequently, actually. And they think I'm dumb, but you know, the staff talk to, right? They often wonder, how come we're not here with you? Oh gosh, you guys, I wish you could see this angel one right now. So we got the heart of the angel and an angel selenite, I believe, right here, which is one of my favorite stones. And then you got the one of Anna's angels here. So I think I put 7 in here, 5 or 7, I don't know, to represent her children or something. And all the angels, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I put 5 in there. I think my whole intuition or goal was to put the 7, but the 7 is the angel wing, I guess, the one you don't see. I don't know. I just go by my own feelings or inspiration, but this is wild. Maybe if I shut off the light, I'll be able to see it a bit better. PTSD, abandonments, things like that. Oh, there we go. See, you can kind of somewhat see what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is kind of like the feathers come out in this highlighted blue. It's so cool. And they're coming out like 3D and like they're popping out, but they're in there into the canvas. So I'll show you. See, they're literally in the canvas, melted in. So I do have abandonment issues. I mean, some people might, some people don't. Some people can handle it really well. I wanted to show you guys my Orbeez as well, like I promised as well. Check it out. They do glow. You cannot see it as well. Maybe I should put it on the floor by the light so we can see it a bit better. Our story is a very long journey. Hugo and I met February 16th, which was my birthday. 2007 we had met. And you know, a year later, we had Anna. We hit it off. His relationship was going downhill. He had to, you know, she was always wanting to be in the bar. He wanting to go home, and he was taking coke and speed and drinking with her, and, you know, started falling into the party life, and then met me and, you know, let go of a lot of that stuff. And he has 3 kids in Quebec. She went to rehab. It was one of the stipulations we made, you know, and she went to rehab. But unfortunately, we never got to see those kids for all this time. We got blocked. They're across Quebec. I have a son here. You know, I had to do some battles in court for her. And it was costly. And so then we, you know, had this whole situation where these kids have been in their own situation and we've never had them a part of our family. The injustices of all that. I mean, she's quick to claim child support, that's for sure. I mean, any mother is. And I mean, this is where I find this so greedy. I mean, I've been a single mom and I was in these situations. But there were days I'd go looking for the dad and be like, hey, you're supposed to pick him up. And where are you? What are you doing? And he's hungover. Okay, fine, I'll take him skating today. But, you know, pull your crap together. Like, let's go. I know we separated, but we have a kid to still maintain. And, you know, and we, like, again, I said, we're young. And it was really hard for everybody, you know, like, you're supposed to have this family and get married. And all of a sudden, you know, the situation is totally different. And I think for myself in that time, I couldn't get over. It was very painful being cheated on while you're pregnant. And, you know, and just a lot of the other dynamics that happened in the relationship. That went on. Moved on. Started on my life again. And it was hard because everybody has their opinions when you are living in a small town. And, you know, the person that you were with literally comes from that town, right? So I'm going to see if these Orbeez, they're starting to highlight a bit. So when you come from a small town, everybody, you know, they of course know the person that grew up there more. And that person will be, that was my phone charger. That person will be like more, you know, of course people are going to be like, of course I've known this kid since he was like whatever age, right? There's my breathe. Just breathe. So I get it, you know, nobody knows me from a hole in the ground. And here I'm this person that shows up in this town. Like, what the heck? You should see this. Like, this is totally beaming, guys. There's the top of it. I mean, this does not do any justice. Like, if I bring it, it is like looking at it. I don't know how to show, like, even the breathe and stuff, like, is really glowing and stuff. But it doesn't show up on the phone. I don't know if I don't have a right camera. But anyways, super cool when it glows through the night. It looks so cool. So do the rest of them. And so So, I went from all of that. I built myself. I worked 2 to 3 jobs. I worked with long-term care, mental um, mental health with disabilities who live independently or learn to live independently. And I worked in a restaurant. I did other jobs, here and there. Made my way, paid my own mortgage. He moved out. He had a place to go, his mom and dad, all that stuff. Took all his stuff, furniture, everything. So I had to kind of start from scratch, and I also had to do repairs on this house. And it was insane. I got stuck with all the bills. I got stuck with all the repairs, and I had the child to raise, and I had to try to go to work. What does it take for a mother to raise a child? And this is what makes me so angry. There's so many arguments out there. Oh, the mother doesn't deserve this, and the mother just does this, and the mother just does that. Okay, if the mother is, yeah, that sucks. But that mother gives a lot to her children. Some mothers give a lot to their children and don't get enough credit. And they get bashed and mocked on a regular basis. I'm seeing a lot of them. I've tried to put my son through hockey, all that stuff, to be that mom. Spinal muscular atrophy came into our life. Hugo came into our life. Anna came into our life. And it was a family now. But me and Hugo had this first child together who was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy. 2 people who meet each other, having a crappy run, kind of find comfort for once in our lives. And I don't know if it was just me or what, but everything kind of just fell apart gradually. We started doing really good. We were heading in a good race of things, and then my son passed away, and then things are good. His kids started entering our lives eventually after 13 years, and so much started happening, and so many emotions. And then there was a reunion, and that reunion, so many emotions. And for myself, I had a reunion, and again, so many emotions. Everybody's like, don't go, don't go, don't go, because everybody's worried about my mental health and what's going to do for me, and but maybe it'll heal me, maybe it won't. And it's a thing with EDMR. Well, go to therapy, but if I go to EDMR, what do they think I'm going to be going through? It's going to change my emotions. It's going to put me through turmoil. It's going to make me go through my emotions. And if I go through my emotions, maybe I can find a way to heal through them. I don't know, that might make sense. I have had my mom and dad go through serious fights, physical fights, aggressive words. I was placed with endless battles of yelling and fighting, having to go to school the next day. Is my parents going to be living and fighting tomorrow? Will I come home? And I had come home one day where there was a situation where a knife had been grabbed. Those were my days. You can almost see you can't see it in this lighting, but the baby foot is glowing. It doesn't show, but it's so perfect. It's just kind of perfect. Anyway, so yeah, I grew up in this home where there was constant fighting. My friends were my outlet. Anywhere I went with them or their families or anything I could to try to figure out how or what to do with my situation at my age. When my boyfriend passed away, I was pulled down the stairs. I was almost down the stairs. And my mom grabbed me by the shirt and pulled me down the rest of the way. Started hitting me and telling me to get over it. He's gone. There's nothing you can do about it 2 days after. Not even the day after he passed away. And I was so confused. Very confused. To have this mom not even seem like she understands, but she does, and that's the ironic part. This woman was taught, you just got to move on from a war that left so many injustices, So many people destroyed, so many addictions, so many stories that torments and everything, and we're still having this happen today. Life goes on, but me and Hugo, oh gosh, we tried to work, we advocate everything, have gone through, when I went through my cancer, I started going through a depression. I don't know, it hit me bad. And it shouldn't, and I feel selfish for it. I didn't expect, you wake up and they're like, hey, it's spread to your lymph nodes. And you're like, okay. Go through radiation and your right breast starts going like triple the size. And you're going, what the hell? And you have pain like there's no tomorrow. And you find out the radiation's attacking the cancer cells. Well, that's all good. Great. Holy frick, it's the whole invasion going on in there. And then you feel like you're not a woman half the time. I had 2 children with 2 different types of disabilities. And you just want to say, can I have normalcy for once? That family I never got to have when I was young. Can I just have that opportunity to be that mom? To be like that aunt who loved everybody. That one that makes the meals for everyone and has the table ready, or door always open and always knows just what to do or the right thing to say. And bring everybody together. You just want to say a happy family, experiences, do normal things, and all these dreams and all these goals. And everybody's like, you'll never do this. You'll never make any sense. Like, you'll never make anything of yourself. You'll never do that. So I worked as a healthcare aide, was ready to go for an LPN course when Mom Anna was born. I was signed up for May, I think it was 26th, I believe. I don't remember. It was May 26th or something. Anyways, May 22nd, and I was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy type 1 and was admitted in the Stollery Edmonton Hospital. And Hugo wasn't there. He was with his other children for 7 months, trying to figure out things himself. There was things happening. Someone pulled a knife on his son when his son was a little baby. Things like that. Or little. They were 2, 4, and 6 when he left. So around 4. And it's hard. It's hard to understand these dynamics, why these go on, and people just say, you guys are trouble, you guys are this, or you guys are that. And all we are is trying to fight for our simplicities. My daughter's rights, medical rights, mental health rights. Told that my mom, who has gambling addictions, they'll help her. The government will help her for sure. They'll help her if I sign my power of attorney over. And then they'll take over everything. Complete control, and then I have nothing to say about what they do to my mom. Isn't that enough through concentration camps or the injustices that the Ukraine and Poland and everyone lived through already? Didn't they have enough government control? To find a better life, to be under only government control. But when you look it up in history, how women were treated, I watched so many videos or read so many things that to relieve the stress of men during the World War II, booze, cigarettes, and women were handed out like candy to fulfill the stressful needs of men during war. My question is why? Why did it come down to taking a teacher out of the school and forcing her into trafficking or become satisfaction? What rights did we have as a human to do that to another woman and say that's okay? What rights do we have to allow this to happen today? And we are having this happen today again, a third time around in Ukraine, which is the opening to another World War III again. Sirens going off and signs everywhere. Our children, it's great to put on a uniform. Great to have service. Great to be of honor. But an honor to what extent, I would like to ask. I've got to tell you something. I'm going to turn my light on. See that right there? I was awarded the most outstanding cadet in my corps. My dad was a Navy stepdad, Navy man. The most outstanding cadet in my corps. Never ever expected that in my life. But it happened. And it happened because somebody had guided me through it. My stepdad was an amazing person of guidance for that. My achievement there. I started gaining great achievements. Started making my way. I was playing ball. One of the fastest underhand pitchers in Alberta. Unfortunately, it has to be windmill pitching only now. So I guess you can't do, underhand pitching anymore in softball or whatever. But yeah, I used to pitch, and I was actually drafted as one of the ones to go and do the Summer Olympic tryouts. And actually a few of us were a lot of the back catchers I had with me. And, I never cared if I was being scouted or not. It wasn't my whole, I didn't care. Just went and played ball. Never made it through. I couldn't. Everybody standing there staring at you, boys, girls, everybody. I was, people wouldn't even believe it to this day that, yes, I had been bullied. I had been bullied in a Catholic school, out of all places. Catholic school. Watched my sister slammed up against lockers by a teacher. And that was when my mom drew the line. Said they're out. Because if I got grouped up by a bunch of boys that circled me and beat me up because I loved to play soccer, it was my fault according to them all the time. And my mom kept saying, it doesn't make sense. How can all these boys, be circling her and she's the bully? Yeah, that's how it went. Was the times, hey? Well, we all got to change that. I played ball. Some of those boys that bullied me often actually they were the ones, two of them, the one that hated me playing soccer and started the whole circling of me getting beat up, would sit there by the chain link fence when I pitched, and when I threw that ball, I would picture his head every single time. And when that ball smacked the glove, it was my greatest feeling ever. And it was great that he stood there by the chain link fence often, because it gave me more focus for my speed. But in reality, I go through so much that my recovery has been a lot over the past few years, especially as I started reaching 40. A lot of my traumas started surfacing. Flashbacks started hitting me like massive speeds. My dog is trying to be interruptive. She has to be with me, and then she's like, okay, wait, this is long enough here, Mom. It's really hard for me to get out. I know I should be flipping this around, and you guys should be looking at me. Maybe I can. I have a hard time. There we go. There I am. I'm in the black light, so I look kind of weird now. I don't even... But, anyways, it's hard for me to come on here and say, this is who I am. I deal, and I've suffered for a long time. Long time around. I have a hard time to look at myself. And I try. So when my confidence is there and you see me on a video or see me on a reels because I have something I want to get through or say, or that I feel that I need to get off my chest, or that's important, or, and a lot of times I don't come off the right way. My PTSD will jump from one subject to the next. My memory lapses. When I survived my overdose, I took over 500 pills, and the doctor said that I would more than likely come out with brain damage. I have issues with my memory. So you can tell me a record title of the record band, and right after you finish your sentence, I don't even remember it. I know that what you told me, but it hasn't registered and stayed in my brain. If I read a whole paragraph, I have to read it a few times because my brain doesn't register that it's there. I'm reading it, my eyes read it. Sometimes it'll go and read, and I don't know how I'm missing sentences and things, but I miss sentences and stuff now. So I struggle with that. And I also, too, me and Hugo had a big fallout. He doesn't know what to do anymore. Our house went into foreclosure. Our house we went just really downhill, spiraled very quickly. Started kind of, I think, even before, it was around my cancer though, mostly, and I spiraled. I, had radiation, quarantine 7 days, trying to intake everything that's going on. Hugo was trying to work, and then the economy was hitting Alberta around the same time as well, and we just kept spiraling and hitting down, and he'd hit a layoff, and then we'd get back to work, and then hit another layoff, and then he'd get back to work, and then he did a layoff for 6 months trying to find work, and then trying to take care of me in between everything. And then I had a brain bleed, and he was just getting back to work. We were getting our lives back. I was starting to actually go for walks and starting to jog and starting to go run and just try to revive my whole self again. And I got hit with a rare brain bleed. And that was trauma for myself. The pain, the realization. Oh my gosh, I got to pull a lot together. Like, it was insane. There is so much to explain. Why aren't you on CPP? Why don't you have this? I applied for CPP around the time that my son passed away. I was applying for over 2 years, 3 years, almost 4. And anyways, about 4 years or whatever it was. And year off my mat leave, and then my applications, and I kept applying. And anyways, they dragged it on so long, and I kept calling them and saying, how come I have no answer? How come I have no answer yet? I've sent my applications. I've resent my applications, guys. Hello, I fixed what you wanted. And I wouldn't get any reply or answer. Finally, I got an answer. I think it was 4 days past the date of the fact that I had been out of work for 4 years and that I could no longer qualify for my CPP, my own CPP that I work for, while my daughter was terminally diagnosed and I had been newly diagnosed PTSD, plus I had thyroid disease, anxiety, and depression. I had an officer come in my home, kick me out when me and Hugo had our fallout, listen to everything that Hugo had to say. It was like, look at you, look at you. You're pathetic. Look at you. Look at you. Just looked at me like I'm nothing but a drug addict. Doesn't realize I have neurological issues. From a car accident, from stress, mass amounts of stress. From my brain bleed. So when I get stressed, I look like I am someone who has Parkinson's disease. My God, been a child that suffered through mass amounts of trauma-hood abuse. I watched my sister be strangled by a telephone cord wrapping around her neck because she smiled. Smiled at a joke that I was supposed to be listening to. I watched how her face looked, and I saw the whole event. And 6 months later, I was placed back in my home. When I was in the foster home, this dog peed all over the floor, all over my clothes. By the time I got, my aunt got me out of the foster home, and my sister got to stay downstairs. Of course, her room was nice and clean, didn't have a dog in it. Was able to go to work with her friends. I had to be locked up in my room, come out and do dishes, eat supper, go to school. That's it. I wasn't even allowed to go downstairs to talk to my sister after something traumatic happened. I had no one. Locked in a room with a dog that peed all over my clothes. So when I got to my aunts, made it a big effort of how degrading I was and how awful my clothes were and how disgusting it was. And, you know, basically made me out to be disgusting. I didn't say anything because I just sat there as a child and said, one day you'll learn. That same lady, you know, I never could go with friends. She asked me, what do you want for your clothes? And what do you like? And I said, I told her everything I liked. You know, I like a pair of jean overalls, things like that. Well, my clothes came back and they looked like my grandmother's clothes. They were pastel pleated pants, sweaters that I've never would touch in my life. And my sister got the overalls and the clothes and everything that I said that both my sister and I liked. And the first thing she did was show me the overalls she bought my sister. It's the first thing she did. I hate overalls, by the way, now. She also took my journal, a child who suffered through great depths of childhood abuse, read it to my entire family without analyzing or talking to me first to see why or what was going through my mind. Degraded me, put me down. So I cut my family ties there. My dad's side of the family, my dad called every so often, my biological father. We talk on the phone. He begged me to come to Vancouver. Went in, I got diagnosed. Better hospital. In all opinion, I should have gone. I wish I knew how to go, but I didn't. I didn't know how, and I was pregnant with my son, Caleb. Caleb was born with Williams syndrome, hydrocephalus, combination of random bad luck. Died on Father's Day, 2010, 3 months after he was born in my arms. I was asked to abort him, and I was told when I was 6 months pregnant that when he would die, that he would shriek and last maybe a couple hours. That's all I could envision. I kept asking the doctor to stop. And he said he would never function. Why would you want another handicapped child? On and on and on. Because that's what I have been given. That's who chose me. It's what I'm supposed to be responsible for. Because I have no ignorance. And when the child is ready, or if the child is ready, and if he's not meant to be, he'll make that decision. And when he was born, I have a picture somewhere. Honest to God. He's sticking his middle finger out. And me and Hugo used to joke and say that he was giving the world the finger. And Hugo just brought this one in to show me. Wow. So, yes, we're demolding. I don't know why, but I've got all these like glow-in-the-dark mushrooms, and we're going to do some little ones too and stuff like that. And I decided that through mental health, I might start leaving a little trail. If I do, it's very rare if I get out of the house, go past my house, the barn, or maybe to Walmart or something like that. But to be in a crowd of people, getting back into swimming is something I'm slowly working on. I've been through a lot, not just that. And I know that there are people that have been through lots. I've listened to all my family's history of war, World War I, World War II. I've heard the diversities. I've seen their pain, their hardships of what they had gone through to be where they were today. My God, I worked so hard to be opposite of my mom. Had a foundation done for Anna one day. We raised money. This foundation was set up by supposed friends, but I knew that they had addictions. Problems. I didn't care. I just didn't like being alone anymore. It was so hard to be there, your daughter in the situation, and nobody really cared. And the only people that cared was money, and I wanted to try to understand this. And I just watched it, and Hugo's like, eventually came down, and he says, why would you just watch this? And why don't you do anything? So he got an officer, and they did an investigation on the funds, and they're like, there was a lot of funds raised, apparently. I was given $1,600, what somebody in the bar had been watching that night, and said, this is what you got in the can, because I've been watching the can all night, because I don't trust those people. Apparently they got a good foundation. Eventually, shortly afterwards, bought a house and a car. Lost their kids. Hit addictions. One's passed on because of how bad addictions took his life. Do I blame him? No. I watched him his whole life. what he went through when people picked on him, go on a date with him, and couldn't go anywhere without someone having to pick on him, and he's trying to clean up his life, and he couldn't because a group of boys have to come and jump him and go and say that he beat him up and press charges against him, and he goes to jail. Instead of being honest, or could have stayed away, not have harassed me, which egged him on, maybe his life would have been different if people would have quit trying to challenge him and given him a chance. But they didn't want to. His life had a lot too. And I had a daughter that I had to fight for, and if that daughter was going to be on media, and even though they cleaned me out, whatever, if I put spinal muscular atrophy out there, so be it. If they're going to do what they're going to do, I can't do nothing about what they're going to do. I can't change their actions. I can only be there if they want to change. I can meet halfway. I can work with them. I can see, and I can stand back on the side and see where my trust of people are. And people don't get it. Why do you trust? You're crazy. You're this. Why do you put me through this? Why do you put me through that? Because I want to find out how trustworthy you are for my own benefit, because I've been hurt so much that if I'm going to let you in my life, you're going to have to pass my bar, because I have been through more than I never needed to be. And if you're going to walk across that bar, it's set high, because if you're going to be in my life, it's not easy. And if you can't tolerate what I go through mentally, you're not good enough to walk with me. You're not good enough to be by my side. That's my opinion. If you truly want to be there for someone, or you truly want to make an effort, or you truly want to see someone rise or succeed, you'll be there. You truly want to understand, you'll pull that person aside and you're going to be like, hey, how, where, and how do we make this go? And in Hugo's sake, I feel like both of us feel we're in two different places, and I have that big trust issue. So I don't know. Are you really there for our family, Hugo? Or are you not there for our family? And it's our constant fight, our constant struggles, our constant battles. Where do I become important? Where do my daughters become important? When do I have to stop running for everybody else so our family can come together? I have a lot to go over about mental health. A lot of it. I don't know where to start. But I'm starting with one thing I do know, and that's my art. And I could be selling it, maybe, I don't know. But right now we're going to start by giving it away for mental health awareness. We will do our first giveaway once we reach our 500 subscribers. In the meantime, I will take time through a day where I'll go through all the canvases. Every canvas I make has a meaning. Majority of every canvases I make are made with my daughters. Anna, who doesn't go to Disneyland, who doesn't go to the barbecues, and doesn't go, camping, and doesn't, swim in the lake, and I can't even get her into the shower because we have a 4-level split. And then, the beginning of that time that we moved into this house, the water cracked underneath the floors. First night we moved in, kitchen flooded from our dishwasher. And we had no insurance because we didn't have a certified person to check everything. I trusted my brother-in-law, who did this for a living. Built houses, checked houses, but just wasn't certified in it. And we entrusted, and we missed a spot. That spot cost my family a great deal of stress. So we got exhausted at that start, and then have to deal with helping a lady who was crippled from a car accident, who lost her husband, and try to help her sell her house as quick as possible, and all the stuff that was pressuring her when we just moved into our house and had all this stress. It's been tough. It's been really tough. Tough to come from where I've been through. I was raised with my mom. My dad walked away when I was 2. Talked to him here and there. Didn't know about my dad until I was 9. I was shocked. It sent me in a huge devastation. Not the way my parents were planning on telling me, but it happened. And as I get older and as I'm getting older and going through more therapy and going through more realizations as I go through therapy, as I went July 1st, Canada Day. Everybody was celebrating on Canada Day. Everybody. Cheering, yelling, screaming, and I was just like, oh my God, look at all the people trying to smile, and I'm doing the right thing. I'm going into the hospital because nobody knows what to do with me anymore. Everybody's like, you're suicidal, you're suicidal, you're suicidal, you're suicidal. Look at you, you're mentally crazy, look at you. Well, stop saying that shit. Look at you, Lisa, you look great today. Look at you, Lisa, you got out of the house. Look at you, Lisa, you painted. That would be nice to hear. All you ever do is complain. Well, yeah, because I got bills to pay. I got this, I got that. Well, Lisa, can I have $40? I'm a good person when they want money. Oh, my plant is dying. You're gonna have to get it some water. You know, when they need a job. And my daughter has funding. So I was able to get jobs, give jobs to people. I'm able to support jobs, supply jobs. So I supported a job for every family member. When I cut them off, I'm a piece of shit. Everybody's like, oh, you're this and that. Have you seen what you say? Do you see what you write? Do you understand why I wrote that? What triggered my anger? What triggered that amount of pain? Because I didn't do it by myself. It's what people forget to mention. Or forget to mention that you had been there in a snowstorm, trying to find your way home with your baby in the back of the car, all by yourself, and you can't see anywhere in front of you, nowhere in sight. Everything is absolutely white, and you end up going through bushes, praying to God it's a acreage or someone can tell you where you are, and it's a rig site, and you're thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen to me now? And finally, somebody kindly directs you on your way so you can get home again. Through the storm, truck with its lights on ahead of you. Yes, I know, dangerous to follow, but I almost had no choice. I owned my own home once. I worked for it. I had 2 vehicles once. My son had clothes, food, bills were paid, everything was done. And then we ended up having all these medical costs and situations and everything compiling on us at once and everybody wanting to take something from it. But what to give back was never equivalent, or it could have been equivalent, or, it's just not. And I don't know how to come across to say it so I'm always sounding evil and I'm always sounding nasty because that's all anybody sees in me. Oh, she's being nasty. She's being evil. I don't know how to be happy, people. I don't know how to be positive. I don't know how to come across things, to explain them so people understand what I'm trying to say without, I'm not being angry. I'm just frustrated. I'm so exhausted, tired, because I shouldn't have to be in this situation, believing in people that I gave a paycheck to, gave a job to, security and insurance. I never received that myself. Their home looks great. Mine fell apart. If they put that much effort into their job, maybe I would be there too. But I'm not. And I have to figure that out. I started my YouTube channel in 2009 or 8. Anyways, you can look it up. Look up Anna Lohin, Lohin. And spinal muscular atrophy. Look up Anna Lohin, spinal muscular atrophy. And you'll see it pop up. And then I got another channel somewhere. But I kept losing the passwords and I couldn't get back in. So those channels are floating out there. Hopefully one day I can reach enough subscribers so I can talk to YouTube and say, hey dudes, can I please have that channel so I can work on it? Because I really find it important to start from the beginning of our story. so that I can show everybody Anna from the beginning of where we were in the beginning of time. I still will. I'm going to work on it. But with PTSD, anxiety, depression, exhaustion, Hugo having PTSD, anxiety, and untreated adult ADHD that was newly diagnosed. We have no insurance, no medical insurance anymore, no house insurance. That's interesting. The bank told him to go off Cymbalta. It's for mental health issues. He had to be off Cymbalta for 5 years in order to qualify for insurance from the bank. So they told him he needed to be off his meds. So he went off his meds, took the bank's suggestion, and that didn't help. His drinking didn't help, and then when he stopped drinking, it was like, it's a long process. It's not just he caught off the bottle, there we go. It was hell on my family. Because ADHD as well. I mean, just keeping up with ADHD, especially in someone like Hugo's case, is so hard. By the time you clean the kitchen, he's literally looks like somebody, it looks like a hoarder moved in by the time he's done. After you clean the kitchen, when he's done cooking. Like literally has everything all over the counters, all doors open, packages everywhere, plastic falling on the floor. Like it doesn't matter. He doesn't know how to comprehend, to organize. Okay, so the wrappers go in the garbage when I'm done with using them. Okay, clean the counter here. And then it doesn't end up in a mess. And then he ends up in this chaos. And then he's like, oh, I got this big mess. Or somebody comes in, I just clean that. And it's so exhausting. That's just the kitchen. It is super hard. There is so much to my dynamics. And eventually I will go through them all. And you'll notice I jump from subject to subject because there's so much to cover, or so much to say, hey guys, this is where we've been. I was in a homeless shelter in November, shortly after Hugo's granddaughter died from complications. She was born premature, low placenta carrying, things like that. So she lasted 2 days and passed away. And it was one of our big family hits after she passed away. She had been pregnant before, so she was supposed to have a child around Father's Day, a son. Around the same time Caleb passed away. But unfortunately, COVID came and took the baby's heart. Stopped the baby's heart. So then that happened, and Hugo can't be there, and it was really, really strenuous on our family. And the father could not be there for his oldest daughter that he loved so much, and she was in so much pain. We didn't have the finances for him to even fly there. And then the obituary came, and it was like, we've already had so much being discluded from everything because they were 246 when he left. So they had all these beliefs and made to believe these things and grown up to believe this or grown up to believe that, and never had the care for their siblings here or to meet or understand what has been taken away from both sides of the families, what truly was lost. 7 children altogether. And we still have to pay child support while one of them is in juvie jail because that's where the mother put her. And she'll still claim it to this day. But, while the government takes care of her daughter, their daughter in juvie. And Hugo was never informed until just recently that both his daughters made suicide attempts. And that his son is mentally struggling as well. One of our archangels was sent to Quebec. It is the Archangel Gabriel. His oldest son's name is Gabriel. We have sent an angel to France. We sent an angel to... I don't know where it went. I don't know. My aunt, I think in France or Poland or somewhere, took care of it. We have had one go... we've had some go to the Philippines, some go to... so it's just different people here and there. And then we just started, because we had all these angels and we were like, what do we do with them? So we decided to start making a go of, start sending Anna's angels out that used to be in the hospital with us. I collect them every time she was admitted, every time she would have like a serious situation where I felt I needed higher above to watch her. So I always, every time she went in, I put an angel on her little mantle above her every time she goes into the hospital. And then this one nurse started bringing us an angel when we come in. And so we decided that we are starting to let her angels go. And we are going to start collecting stories as they travel, where they've been throughout the world. Some stories we will keep discreet due to not everywhere in the world is peaceful. Unfortunately, it's sad that you can't take an angel all over the world and just leave it where it needs to be, because there's so much cruelty. So not every place is safe of wars and things like that. But her newest angel has headed to India. I will be waiting for updates eventually as they travel with the angel to India. I also have my prayers sent with them as well. They are going through a difficult process, and there will be, the family needs prayers. So definitely, as they take the angel on the trip and make its story happen. Hugo and I decided that we are going to start making some of these little mushrooms or trinket houses or little mushroom villages. When I go out somewhere, I'm going to start leaving them out. This is going to be my mental health in Alberta or Edmonton, Alberta. That my goal is to start putting these little glow-in-the-dark mushrooms everywhere. And Hugo and I discussed this, but it's not going to be something I'm not going to be looking to go and put these out there. This is my next strategy to say mentally, I can go for walks again. I can do this. And when I do, I will leave a mushroom where I feel it needs to be. And it'll glow in the dark. It will be a glow in the dark. I don't know. We don't know if it'll be a trinket house. Like, that one's still drying. We don't know if it'll be a trinket house or just a glow in the dark mushroom. Might be maybe even a lotus for the inner peace. I don't know. But more mushrooms. We're going to start with the mushrooms. I don't know why. I just think that, there's a lady that inspires me as well. And mushrooms make her happy. Not happy mushrooms. I mean, normal picking mushrooms. Like healthy mushrooms. Normal organic mushrooms. Not happy mushrooms. Okay. So anyways, she went through massive trial and errors, and she does soul illumination. Look it up, Seattle, soul illumination. Needs lots of support as well. Amazing woman, amazing group, amazing people. Does photography for families who have children. Hugo's getting all the dogs ready for bed. I'm going to have to start wrapping up here, guys, pretty soon. Nurse is here, and I got to go say goodnight to my girls. The family has taken time to allow me to do this because I'm behind on my YouTube channels on explanations. I ended up in a shelter recently, obviously. And Hugo and I really had some big fallouts. Hugo says, he didn't know what to do. Tried calling social services. We've been trying to call social workers, everybody, to try to help us with our situation. And everyone says that our situation is so complex that they don't know what to do or how to help us. So I've just been trying to figure out how to go along and help myself. I went into admission. I went to go and self-admit. A police officer took me into the hospital recently because I'm suicidal and dealing with suicide issues over the past while. And they filled out a form, Mental Health Act form, filed it, only to be told that I can wait for the social worker and that they've already got me all the resources that I had. Instead of admitting me, it was supposed to be, for the officer said that to Hugo, that it was going to be a guaranteed 30-day admission. And I was released because they don't know what to do with me. Also, we figure it's the liability because last admission, I was supposed to be, 30 days, but I was 10 days released. 2 days they didn't read my file. And they took my phone the first night, first 15 minutes, because some guy was starting to talk to me and he was like, oh, she's talking to her. My mom does online romance scam. And he was freaking out. Oh, she's doing her same thing as her mom. And they took my phone away. And I was like, oh my God, the guy popped up and I was like, literally like, oh yeah, like totally taunting the guy like I always do. And then I block them and you know what I mean? I get them, they start talking about, who they are and things eventually because I won't let them have it. Like I play into them and then I turn them around and I said, so how's Nigeria? Or how's this? And then they eventually send their picture, they'll talk to you or tell you they do this because their mother passed away, whether their mothers aren't passed away, trust me. Whole scam. Online romance scam. I don't know why it never gets stopped because they should be able to stop that. And they don't. Police just don't want to. They don't want to get involved. Anyways, took my phone away and they said they were going to give it back to me the next day. So the next day comes and I say like, okay, can I have my phone back? Like I have really no reason. I've never just got admitted and you guys took my phone away and really gave me no chance. So no, we're going to hold on to it for a little bit longer. Next day comes. So Hugo's like, you know what? I'll get your phone back because I'm the one that got your phone taken away. Go and talk to my psychiatrist. And she looks at me directly and very snotty. She looks at me in this snotty look. And she goes, I don't think so. And so I says to her, so you're going to hold my personal property that I handed over to you kindly on a self-admission that I came in here for, receive mental help with. Okay. So how is this helping me now? So this argument started breaking out. He's like, well, yeah, you shouldn't be holding her property. She's, and Hugo's advocating. And then all of a sudden somebody said security's coming. Hugo looked at me and ran because he knew if security comes, it's not going to be a good sight. So security came, looked at me, and I went to go close this door, but it's a very light door with like light magnetic. So it bounced back and I closed it again. And they're like, calm down. And I'm like, I am calm. I need you guys. And I said, don't, I need space. Don't come around me. They're like, we're going to start injecting you with something. And I'm like, well, what are you going to inject me with? Like, seriously, I need to know. I need to medically know what you are injecting me with because this can cause serious consequences. And they're like, you don't need to know, and blah, blah, blah. And then this one guard come up and grab me by my left arm, which I do have bruises on the photos. You can see it. Grabs me right away by my left arm, slams me to the ground. And I've had a full hysterectomy where they had to do a large incision on the left side of my bladder. And which does cause a little bit of weakness at times now. So I hit the floor, my hip hit the floor really hard. And part of my bladder let go. A little bit of my bladder let go. And security guards were on top of me before I knew it. And then they grabbed me, slammed me into my roommate's bed head first. I had a rare brain bleed, people. Remember this. 6 security guards, men. I have also been through some traumatic situations. Yeah, thanks, Kelly. You're one of them and you know who you are. But yes. I don't say the last name. There's a lot of Kellys out there. But that Kelly knows who he is. Anyways, I had situations. My parents, the abuse as a child, all that stuff. And then I have 6 security guards attacking me when I went into a hospital for mental health help. For suicidal help. They didn't read my charts for 2 days when I first got admitted. They didn't read any of it, but yet after that, they strapped me to my bed and left me like that without being covered up, anything like that. And didn't even put a blanket on me. Left me in a humiliated situation. And they injected me. But they found out later on that they should have been speaking to my neurologist beforehand. They should have actually spoken to my family doctor. And actually, yeah, they weren't supposed to give me that medication. Because she didn't read my chart. Can you ask me why people die? I've watched somebody be sedated, and he had internal bleeding in his stomach for 2 months. I worked in long-term care, by the way. I watched a man die from dehydration because nobody put ice in his water. I didn't know until I was told later on. And then when I started seeing the signs and started realizing that's what we were supposed to do, that his signs were dehydration. And when I started telling the RN, she was screaming at the man and forcing him to get up and make him walk to the table. That man died of dehydration, by the way. Or sorry, was run upstairs with serious dehydration. I don't think he died shortly after. That's what I mean about the care, or what people care about. Hugo reported a steering wheel that was stiff every time we went around this corner. Went up back home to Quebec for Christmas and comes back to find out that somebody else didn't go home that Christmas. Because that very corner, the steering wheel was still stiff. They drove it on the highway and said, oh, it's fine. Anyways, and you wonder why I have mental health issues. Hand my memo over to the government. When you look at it, the government is what caused gambling, VLTs, and booze. Addictions. Here, guys, let's take your stress off war. When I had an officer come to my house, he told me I was pathetic. All this stuff put me down. I was suicidal, depressive, and he was degrading my actual physical health. I almost committed suicide. It was another police officer who ended up coming to check on me by chance because a lady heard distress in my voice when I was looking for a shelter, and they said there was no more. And this was day 5. I was trying to get into a shelter and put on the streets by an officer with my mental health state of mind, alone in a hotel room. Thankfully, we just had a bit of money come in at that moment. It was the only reason why I was able to stay in a hotel. And the officer was panicked, and he was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. I've never done this before. And he was freaking out. And I was just sitting there, oblivious to everything he said. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Why should I matter? Why do you care? What is the point of this? And my phone, this light goes on, and I'm like, sat there and I saw it. And it was an old friend, and, you know, his family and stuff. And I just kept thinking, like, what's the point? And kept looking at this light and thumbs up and just crying. And then my mom showed up, and I settled, and the police officer was able to leave. But my situation put him through a turmoil of stress that he shouldn't have had to go through either. My stress became his stress. And if I make it tomorrow, I make it tomorrow. If I don't, I don't. I don't know what my daily depression will bring me, and I don't know how far it's going to bring me, and I don't know whether I'll come through this ever. And my PTSD is hell for me to live through. Absolute brutal hell. But I am working on it every single day. And if you've gotten this far through my channel, I am trying my best to come across and tell you how it is, what it feels like, and I will get there eventually. It's really difficult for me. I'm having a very hard time to come out with my channel and say, this is me. If I could be anyone in YouTube, I would probably be just like Call Me Chris. That would be who my personality is. It's dry sense of humor, but it's there that my PTSD overtakes so much, and I'm learning to just go back to swimming again, and I'm trying to figure out is my next step. I've tried to set up GoFundMe's. I just feel like no matter what I'm going to do, I'm going to be judged or degraded, or nobody's going to care. And it's like that. It feels like that. Feels like a world that just says, you got to pick your shit up again. You got to do this, Lisa, again, like the 4th time. Come on, Lisa. What is it like, come on, Lisa. Let's do this again. Lisa's tired this time, guys. Everybody that knows me tells me, oh, you just gotta. I'm tired. I'm so tired, and I don't know how to express that. I don't know how to express that I am trying to find how to be happy and positive so I can come onto YouTube or anywhere or just walk outside and be like, I can do this today without somebody telling me what I'm not. And I can go outside without somebody trying to sideswipe me, somebody trying to shoot up. Drive an LRT. Go in one. Take a whole ride all weekend long. Right here in the good old city of Edmonton. Tell me how you're going to feel when you sit on that LRT and someone is lighting up their crack pipe right across from you. That's what it's come down to. We're in a world with oblivious blindness. Today I ran into this homeless man, gave him the last of the change I had. I'm down to my last $4. Literally $4. So I have 8 free play tickets that I've been setting aside for a rainy day. And I only cashed 5 of them because I found $5. So I cashed 5 of them because I believe you got to buy the extra with it. And this guy was like, do you have anything? And I had the last little bit of change from these lottery tickets that I had free plays on. And I gave him that last little bit of change. And I had 3 more that I didn't cash in yet. So I told him, my name's on those tickets, I guess. But I know you're homeless, and I know I'm taking the biggest risk I've ever taken in my life. And all I got is change, and I got 3 other lottery tickets I didn't cash in yet. They're free plays. Maybe you'll win one. Maybe you'll have $10. But that $10 will maybe be something. And the reason he is mostly homeless is because he came here for work from BC, and when he was sleeping on the bus, somebody stole his ID. And I mean, they have stories all the time. I got it. I get it. But this one, you can tell when some of them are a little more sincere and whatnot and really lost. And yes, he's on drugs. You can see he's a bit just starting to hit drugs. You can see in beginning stages, really heavy. And he's like, I got no one. I got no family. I got no nothing. And I told him, I said, I wish I could help you. Like, I could give you a job. I don't even know if that would be the right thing. I don't know what I could do. I gave him my change. I gave him 3 lottery tickets that I didn't cash in. And I told him I crossed my fingers and I wish him the best. Because his situation is similar to mine, and it was so ironic tonight. He was talking about, I've been on these researches of histories of war to find out truly how much war has damaged our families. Not just somebody I was called a white privileged once. My family is Ukrainian, by the way. A lot of my family came from Ukraine. I don't know the rest of my other side. It's Scottish, Irish, and I don't know. And then one of the first things he said, I don't have anything, but what I got is my grandfather's Purple Heart. And he says, my whole family was fighting for it, he said. But I got it right here, safe with me, locked up. That's the only thing I got safe. It's the only thing I still have, he said. He says, I got the one thing my family was fighting for. It was my grandfather's Purple Heart from the World War. And he says, I still got it. It's amazing how I'm looking at all these topics and subjects, and this young man, is homeless, out of work, can't get a placement or a job because he has no more ID because his ID's gone, and he doesn't have a physical address. We have Bissell centers, we have everything, but we don't have a place for our homeless people to put a physical address so that they can get jobs. There's something wrong with that. Why can we not use the legal address of the Bissell Center where they are sheltering, or a placement of where they can run to be a physical address for the meantime so that they can get a home? Why is the program set up so backwards? And I saw this homeless man, and I was like, not far behind you, but this is all I got. And I says, I hope at least it'll give him a bus ride warm enough for an LRT ride for the rest of the night. And his tent was taken down, by the way. Police destroyed it, and the rest of his stuff was lost through that tent. So, it's cold. It was chilly. It's a cold chilly tonight. I was like, I could put you in my shack, but can I trust you? Can I trust another person to help them when I could help them, but will they help themselves? I have helped people before, and look at where I'm at. So I am going to work on our channel to be more positive, more uplifting, and slowly we will start discovering our stories and start going over our stories and trying new things like my Orbeez and my mushroom villages and glow in the dark to shine. So when my grandfather, who came from more, I'd get off a bus, I'd be scared of the night. Sometimes it would be dark, and he would constantly tap my shoulder and smile and tell me to look up. And there would be stars. And he set up this couch outside. And we did artwork outside all day long on this couch. We'd little table, and we'd paint all day and blow bubbles. And he would show us things, how to make toys with just cardboard and string. And oh my gosh, we'd be out there all day. And then eventually he would sit down and have a sit down, and he'd point to all the stars, and we would sit and relax and just look at all the stars. And he didn't speak English, so that's what made it more amazing. The communication was not verbally. So everything my grandfather and I communicated with, or anybody I met, like Hugo did not speak English when him and I first met. And I was the only person able to say, this is what I think he's trying to explain. And he, yes, yes, yes. And we hit it off so good. It was like we could just read each other. We felt each other. We could just understand each other. And when he couldn't be understood, I did. I don't know why. We just connected. We had Anna, then Caleb, and then our third child together, my fourth. Our last one was born. Her name is Hope. SMA free. She has ADHD. Busy as heck. My God, that kid is busy. But I sat there and I remember asking God, healthy, happy, and full of life. And oh my God, that kid is full of life. He hit it dead on. Everything I asked the universe for that little girl. She's a little bit more busier than I expected, though. But we were told we had 1 out of 4 chance to have a child born with spinal muscular atrophy. We had 2 children born spinal muscular atrophy free. To this day, people can start receiving treatments. And in those treatments, it stops the progression of SMA, and some kids are able to start standing and walking and thriving. And you would never know really truly that they had SMA. I was told my daughter would never go to school. I fought the education of rights for her to be able to Skype into school. We have the technology in the world. Why can't we use it? We received an eye gaze from my Make-A-Wish. I've lost some parts to it, just the charging part. So it was handed to me in a box during COVID, and here you go. Long stories on that. But I want to say thank you to all our viewers. I know this is boring. I know this has been long, and it's like really hard for me to even begin to understand, to explain this to all of you. I don't even know how to start. And so I'm just starting where I am and with what I have. And if it's ridiculous, it's ridiculous. If it's not, it's not. My mental health and PTSD alone are a serious struggle. Not just for me, it's a serious struggle. in general. And the way our systems are set up is to make everything look good. There are programs, and maybe I might be trying to go back to some of the programs. And there's a 21-day program that I tried, but I can't be around groups of people. I try. Being shoved on a bus like a bunch of cattle and in groups of people is so hard for me. Hugo's offered to go to maybe start group therapy with me and join me with it so that we can do like a couples group therapy or something. But again, money. I don't know if we'll be able to find one. But anyways, I'm going to end it here, and I want to say thank you to all our subscribers and viewers and people who are giving us opportunity and chance being there. We are close to 300 subscribers, so we're close to 500 subscribers. We're hitting 200, and I haven't really pushed my channel just yet because I don't know how to push myself yet. I don't know how to push this direction, but I know it's a direction I started in 2008 with my daughter when she first was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy. Again, look up Anna Lohan spinal muscular atrophy and you'll see our old YouTube channel that I cannot get back to because I have to hit so many subscribers and make this YouTube channel happen and be able to say, hey, YouTube, that is my old channel. Can you help me with that? Yeah. But I feel like this is my direction. A lot of people say, oh, art is my direction. My voice is my direction. I love to write. I love to advocate. I love to be a voice for reason. And so I'm crossing my fingers if there's one of you out there suffering like I do. Start eyeballing some of these canvases because this might be one of yours. Because when they glow, I want you to know that through the dark, through the shallows, and through the shadows of the darkness, there is light, and you're not alone. You can glow and shine, and I'm there, and I'm struggling, but I'm there. So when you receive one of my canvases, and you shut the lights out, they will still glow. Way, way differently. I mean, it looks way cooler in person, way cooler. My personal thing would be to love, I would totally love to set them all up in a big studio and just shut the lights off and just everybody go and check them out. But instead, I'm now going to start working on their edges. Anna's birthday, February 7th, 2008, was the year she was born. So my battery is dying on my phone. That's all I have. I don't have a camera. So February 7th, Hearts in the Window will be my first donation. Anna is 15 years old. She's been with the Stollery for 15 years. 1,600 days. In 10 years. My son died there. My dad died there. I've had my cancer surgery, my hysterectomy surgery, my hands. And there's been a lot of hardships. But the Hearts in the Window, it will be my first donation going to the Stollery. Actually, maybe not. The volcano I might be handing to someone quickly. But yeah, the Hearts in the Window is and will be our first real big donation of the start. My second one, I already know where that one's going. I don't know. We might do the Peaceful Rage, guys. I might do this canvas. I may do the Eye of the Universe. Who knows, I might do Anna's Angels. Maybe, a couple broken hearts in one. Winter Bliss. It's hard to see. This one is one of my favorites. It looks so wild. Or this one is one of my favorites. The genie in the center. The universe of the mind. Anyway, thank you for subscribing. Oh, guys. Oh, I'm stepping on everything. Oh my gosh. There is the volcano. But yeah, when it glows, it's awesome. So it's one step at a time. Glow and shine, guys. Even if you feel like you can't do it today. If you made your bed and put on clothes and read a sentence today in a book, or just read a sentence in the book, you made a step today. Don't ever let anyone tell you any difference when you're going through mental health. If it seems not big enough for anyone else, that's their problem. Then they have to learn something. But make that step, even if you feel like you're a turtle, because those little steps make a way. Turtles make their way. The sea turtles make their way to the sea eventually. It's one step at a time.
You were the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another star, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us